What's going on? I am back. Different, but back. It's a little weird for me to do this without someone else to talk to, so just kind of bear with me until I get rolling. And you guys know the drill. I can see a bunch of you in the chat, so you throw questions or things we want to talk about, or if I say something that you want me to expand on, just throw something in the chat, and we'll kind of make it interactive. But I just wanted to give an update on what's going on with my life, and then talk about some other things that I've kind of been developing some perspective on. So we'll just start with my son. So if you follow his page or you know me personally, you probably saw, I think I only posted one thing on this page, but my son Duncan was diagnosed with B-cell ALL leukemia being the second L in that. And it was, I'll give you a pretty short synopsis of what happened, but basically he was sick. He had a fever for a week that wouldn't go away. And my wife and I took him into the hospital, and it turns out that his blood counts were low, but in 3 categories, being white, red, and platelets, which they found meant that he had a bone marrow issue, which could have been a couple different things. But basically, we knew like the first night in the emergency room that there was a strong chance that he would come out with leukemia, with cancer. So he was at Lutheran General, which is in Park Ridge, Illinois. They have a pediatric hospital there. They've been nothing but excellent and taking great care of my son and my wife and my other son, Jack. He's been able to be part of a lot of the other things that have been going on. So Duncan's doing pretty good. He went through the first couple weeks here. We were hoping for a little bit better results. They can actually get a kid into remission within like four to 6 weeks, and he just had a little bit of leukemia still hanging on, so which is okay. It happens. They had to up his treatment, so we're kind of in the middle of that phase, and I was hoping, to come back to this once he was in remission. But he's doing really well. He's laughing and playing. You wouldn't even really know he's sick right now. So we're kind of in a better spot right now, where being able to kind of get back to what new normal would be is achievable. So I want to thank everyone. The Yard Foundation picked up my story. Thanks to Brian Rao, who watches the show. He nominated me, and they picked it up and they put it on their site, and got a lot of money donated to us. And it's been extremely, comforting, and we've been able to put some of that to use to kind of help with bringing the kids to the hospital, because it's a 45-minute drive, and then, Fridays he's been getting an outpatient procedure done. So we're there for a couple hours, and luckily we're able to bring Jack with, so everything kind of just worked out that way. But we got some stuff for them to be able to make that a little bit easier. So really, I thank you to anyone that donated to that, or those of you that have reached out to me. It's been really great to have support, and it's obviously extremely difficult, but we're getting through it, and he's getting through it, and he's doing extremely well. So yeah, we're putting some good steps forward. So I think we were at a time where now, like I said, we can get back to what our new normal is going to be. And, obviously something that major in life brings this massive perspective change. And I don't think I've ever had a perspective change forced on me so just large, massive, right? Like, I think we make mistakes in life, and sometimes you reflect on that, and it shifts your paradigm, and you're able to kind of maybe change and refocus. But this obviously was something that I've never been hit over the head with such news before, and you really start to focus on what's important, and then maybe start to forget about some of the stuff that's not. And I think that's a good thing. I posted a reel today, about that we can't all be 100% all the time, and that that bar that we set, especially when you really want to be good at what you do or good in life, that bar is really high. And so to get to that, like, it takes effort, and you can't be at that all the time. Like I had said, when I took nozzle forward and they teach you all those techniques, like, they're a default. There's something to get to, right? They're a goal to try to be in that particular mechanic, that particular body mechanic, as much as you can, because it's good for you, right? And I would say it's the same thing about being a passionate, firefighter, or just driven, right? The passion is, but like, just driven and being into the job and doing the things that you want to do. And I think it even expands beyond being a firefighter. I think it's just life. Like, you can't be there all the time. And kind of like that, you can't be in one of those forms all the time, because you never know what the structure inside would set you, and you can't be in perfect form. We can't pick people up with perfect body mechanics all the time, but you know what's right, and you got to kind of bring yourself to get back to that point. Maybe you got to drag through some crap to get back to that point. I was talking to Mike Wolchez today, who was on the show earlier, one of the early episodes, and just now, actually, not too long before coming on here, and he said, well, thank you, Chief, Chris. Taking the cape off. I have the book and I have not read it yet, but Mike was actually talking about that, but he was also saying that the fire service breaks us, and he's right. Like, I think all of us truly have been broken by the fire service at some point, right? Like, where you're really into things and maybe you're not getting what you need, or you're feeling let down, and you have to learn how to rebuild yourself and pick it back up, whether it's with friends or with, getting into a new thing, right? Like, finding a new specialization within the fire service that can help. But yeah, so I'm living that, right? And I'm kind of getting back up into the spot. I'm going to be a little bit different than I was before everything happened. Obviously, like, when your perspective changes, you kind of refocus some things, right? Doesn't mean that I don't love being a fireman and those things. But I think you guys will see I'm a little more calm about stuff. I'm a little more able to not sweat the small stuff as much. Everything doesn't have to be a fight anymore. Doesn't mean that we don't have to stand up for what's right, but I'm kind of going off on a tangent. Eric, I also want to say, Eric Hanrath, your wife was in the hospital, and she came and saw us a bunch, and it was a really cool interaction, and it honestly brought some life and normalcy into what was going on. And I really appreciate your support, and thank you for sending a comment, and thanks for being there to support Duncan, and it's really cool. I didn't think, obviously when I started all this, that kind of network would happen, where people like that maybe I haven't met in person, but this contact that we've had has been wonderful, and that's why I want to get back to this. I want to get back to the people. I want to get back to contributing, sharing perspective, sharing other people's perspective, and what can help all of us, because we're all going through our own version of suffering. We're all going through our own version of trying to better ourselves, right? Sorry, Chris, I'm trying to catch up. I'm out of the game, because usually I'm able to multitask and I can like talk and read comments at the same time. So I might be a little bit slow because it's been a while since I've been down here. But you mean when you take pride in the rigs you were provided and you watch them way before there were crews, and the AC says Why do you bother doing that? You have to elaborate on that. I'm not exactly sure where you're coming from with that. Maybe I'm just not totally understanding. But yeah. So that's Duncan. That's me. That's kind of where we're at. Rebuilding, right? Getting back up. I think I'm trying to pick and choose which things. Oh, how the fire service will break you. Yes, right? When you're trying to do the right thing and then somebody comes along. I got a story like that, too, of the starting the chainsaws in the morning. Why are you doing that? Well, what do you mean? And my organization now, we don't really do it that way. But when I was in Antioch, like, the crews were rotating so much more, right? So, like, it was really important to do a really solid rig check because you didn't really know. There were 4 people that could have checked that thing before you. And I remember I got razzed for starting chainsaws every single morning and not just on the weeklies. So, yeah, I know. The fire service can break your spirit. That's honestly why I used to ask the question, and I don't do it anymore. Actually, maybe I do. I can't remember if I cut it or not, but it was, have you ever lost your passion for the fire service? Because, like, I had, and I knew that I had, and it had happened to me before. And it's kind of happened to me, not in the same way, but like where it kills your spirit, like you were saying, right? And so now, yeah, like some of that little stuff doesn't mean it. And I'm still working on that. It still bothers me, some things. And I have to remind myself, like, the new perspective that I have, because, like, I'm a work in progress. We all are, right? I think the thing that really cripples me the most is like when I'm not understood, and that usually turns into frustration rather than me trying to rephrase things. So like I feel like when I'm ridiculed, it means that I'm not understood, because usually, actually I shouldn't say usually, all the time my intentions are good. They're never self-serving, even though some people in this world tend to think that everything is like that, and that's not the case. But yeah, I want to say, if you guys have anything that you want to throw in there, please do. I want this to be interactive from who's here. And if not, that's cool too. I have my topics and things that I kind of wanted to talk about that I'm processing. And this is kind of like a like a video diary for me that you guys are along with, I guess. So, spending obviously a ton of time with my kids, which has been the silver lining of all of this. And Jack and Duncan are at an age where they're having fun and they have favorite movies and they have things like that. And we have watched a ton of Toy Story. Okay, now stick with me, because yes, I'm gonna make a parallel between Toy Story and the suburban American fireman. I know that's a stretch, but just bear with me. So I used to joke at work, because I don't know about you guys, but as a suburban fireman, it sometimes feels like you're this like well-tuned machine that doesn't get to do anything, right? We all know that we don't go as many fires, and a lot of us are short-staffed. A lot of us run jump companies, so we don't get the same training opportunities. And a lot of us are, because we're short-staffed, you're working a lot more. And I'm fortunate where I haven't had to work a ton with what's been going on. But I know my department's hurting right now, and guys are getting absolutely burnt out, right? And that brings a lot of challenges, right? Because, a lot of us, I think, signed up to do fun stuff, right? And I know, I'm not naive. I know that we're here to serve people, and ultimately that's the mission, right? And it's whatever people need, we're there to support them. So I'm not taking away from that. It's an opportunity to serve any time that we're called upon, right? Totally get it. And I'm not devaluing that. But I think a lot of us feel that way, where we're this wound up spring that we just want to launch, right? And you want to fly high, and you want to do the things that you were trained to do, that you got into the job to do, and you don't get the opportunities to do those. So you just kind of feel like, jaded to it. And so I used to joke, and I would say it when we would transport someone to the hospital, that maybe it was just some I'll say it, some BLS call that really like, what, they didn't, whatever, we're just a liability wagon at that point, so we're just taking someone. And I used to joke about this Buzz Lightyear quote, which when he's having a breakdown, he goes, "Years of academy training wasted." And I used to joke, and I'd say that at the hospital. And then, we go back about our day, and it was just a good chuckle. But then, like, I expanded on that more, and I was like, okay, a lot of times as a suburban fireman, I feel like Buzz Lightyear when he finds out he's a toy, right? So, like, you get in this job, and you think that you're the Space Ranger, right? And you think you're the Buzz Lightyear, and you're going to do all this stuff, and you're the man. You've got it all together, and you've got it going on. And then the reality hits in the suburbs, especially, and you're not doing this cool stuff that you're trained to do, right? And it's like when he finds out that he's just a toy. And what does he do? He has a total breakdown, right? And he's all depressed. And then he has this moment where he's like, no, screw that. I am a Space Ranger. I'm going to prove it to everyone. And he gets aggressive and tries to jump out of a window, right? And which obviously, if you've seen the movie, he falls, he breaks his arm, and all that fun stuff. And then he'll go sailing no more, right? And so that's where the joke ended for me, right? Whereas it was like, all right, I'm not just a toy, you know what I mean? I'm the Buzz Lightyear. I'm going to fly out that friggin' window. And I used to feel like that when I would go to conferences or I'd go to a class or something. It would help validate you again, right? And but then inevitably you get back to work and you can't fly out of the window and you crash down. And and it used to make me feel so jaded, and I would laugh, and I'm still laughing at that, like the thought of that. But then I watched it again with my kids, and Buzz has this total breakdown where he does that Mrs. Nesbitt thing, and it's like he's drunk or whatever, and he's like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm depressed. And then later on he's like, I don't even know why Andy would want me. Like, I'm just some dumb toy. I'm insignificant. And Woody kind of goes, no, dude. Like, you might be a toy, but you're the toy, right? Like, and I feel like a lot of us, again, in the suburbs, you feel that way. But at the end of the day, like when you're in a parade, right, and the kids are looking at you, or you go grocery shopping during the day, and these kids look at you and they see you, they don't know that you're just some suburban fireman that doesn't go to a lot of fires. You're a fireman to them, right? It's cool. You're something to them. And it doesn't devalue you. You devalue you, right? And again, long stretch. And thank you, Trevor, saying it's the fire service, nothing is a stretch. But again, I've been watching a lot of kids' movies, so these references are just aligned with that. But like, he realizes after he talks with Woody, like, yeah, my purpose, like my contribution is now to Andy to be a toy, and I'm going to be a damn good toy, and I'm going to be there for him, right? And I think I'm at that phase in this cycle of, you're a toy, and realizing, that's what it is. And I think I'm at that phase where it's like, okay, I might not be going to a fire every single day. I might not go to a fire every month, but I'm still a fireman. I still take it seriously. I take my job seriously. I contribute in the way that I want to contribute, and nothing can take that away, right? We are so lucky to do what we do. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't stand up for, staffing and the things that we need, right? Like, yes, we need to have what we need to do our job, but at the same time, like, you're not just some, throwaway, right? Like, as a fireman, you're still a fireman, right? And I was, like I said, I used to use it as an ironic joke that the years of academy training wasted, right? And then, like, I watched Toy Story like freaking 15 times, I think, over the last like 5 days, and I'm watching this and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, I'm in that phase right now. I'm in that like jaded, like, I can't contribute, I'm just a toy, like, phase, and it took a good friend to, like, I felt like I was stuck And I'll talk about that in a second. But it took a good friend to kind of whack me in the head and be like, "You're not stuck, dude. Knock this shit off. Stop using things as an excuse. You're still here, and you could still contribute. You could still do what you want to do." So if you're feeling that way, I can't tell you how to get out of that. I can't tell you how to push yourself forward. But I don't know. Maybe take a lesson from friggin' Buzz Lightyear of all things. And he might not have been a toy, but he might not have been a Space Ranger, but he was a damn cool toy. And Andy didn't know the difference. But maybe there's something to that. Or maybe I'm nuts because I've been watching too many kids' movies. But there you go. So, Mike, thanks for... it's good to be back. So, thanks for watching. And John, thank you too. Yeah, it's good to be back on the saddle. And usually I don't talk this much, which is what makes this even more funny because I'm back, but it's just me. And I'm working on lining up guests again, but I wanted to just move forward, right? I don't remember where I heard it, but I want to say it was Aaron Fields because I probably listened to too many Aaron Fields things, not in a bad way, but he's just a freaking genius. But like work fixes everything, and that might sound kind of toxic. Like, well, just put your head down and work. I don't take it that way. It's like just doing stuff fixes whatever's going on with you. You need to take a step forward, and you need to be active again. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you in here too. Mike Fox is in here, and it's good to be back behind the mic. It really is. But you know, he says work fixes everything, and that was a thought, and I was like, all right, I need to like just take the first step to getting back into these things because I was pretty low. Like, so I'll just I'll talk about kind of where I was at and where I'm going now. So I was ready to leave my fire department, like 100% ready to leave. It was going to happen, whether it was, you know, opportunities that were pretty close or in a few months from now. I was mentally ready to leave. I had pretty much given up the fight, and I came to this realization that I didn't fit where I was, and that the best thing for me at that time was to leave. And then Duncan got sick, and at first I was like, I can't leave now. Like, there's a financial commitment, there's insurance, there's sick time, there's paid time off, there's all these other factors, right? And then there's the uprooting, you know, my family and starting that over again at a time where having uncertainty, like if I didn't make a probation again or something like that, or I shouldn't say again, if I didn't make a probation. So, you know, I felt like the decision made itself, and that really depressed me because I was mentally like, I'm going to end my pain from what I'm dealing with in my organization and leave. And that was my escape. And it hit that I wasn't going to be able to do that. And I'm not going to do that. Like I said, I had a really good friend kind of whack me in the head. And well, I've had a couple friends whack me in the head. But, you know, one of them said, well, you have a choice. Because I felt stuck. I felt like I couldn't leave because of all those other factors. And he's like, you have a choice. You absolutely have a choice. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, stop using things as an excuse. If you want to leave, then just freaking leave. And I sat and I thought, and I was like, okay. Like, I'm a person that wants to be part of the solution. And I want to fix problems. And I don't necessarily get to fix as many fun, as I would call them, fun problems on the calls that I go on. But I can be part of organizational change. And I might not get that opportunity in other places. And not to mention, like, I could leave, but then I would have to get another job, which then takes more time away from my family. Because, like, my wife doesn't work, and we don't want to change that dynamic. So, like, you know, I refocused my thought on that, and I made staying my decision, right? It's my choice to be where I'm at. I might not be the perfect fit for where I'm at, and I might not get to do as much of the cool stuff that I want to do. But that's kind of forcing me now to find other opportunities to do those things, right? And the reality is, like, I love to train. So I can still do the stuff that I want to do and just train more and be into it in that way. And there's no guarantee if I went somewhere else that I would get more of what I'm looking for. So, and maybe there would, but I don't want to live with that regret anymore, and I don't want to live with that what if anymore, because it's made me resent my fire department, and it's made me to a point where I was so jaded that every shift I'd come in, I'd be miserable. Every shift I'd come in, I got to a point where I was complaining about stuff. And I know, like, I'm sitting here, like, I have a friggin' social media platform about motivating and being positive and all that other stuff. And here I am, like, totally in the gutter, just not feeling that at all, and not able to kind of get myself out of it. And the problems are not solved in my organization. I'm not saying my organization is terrible, but they are not solved. But when I had that paradigm shift again with the things that have happened with my son, it's like, well, maybe that's not the biggest deal right now. And things take time. And to be more patient. And it's all coming from, what's going on with Duncan. Like, I have a 3-year journey. We have a 3-year journey for him to get his treatment. That's a long time, right? But I'm head first into that because there's no other option, right? It's not like I'm going to be able to just run away from that. So I'm trying to find that part of me again. And I think I just need to kind of cut back on some stuff at work and really be a spear more so than like a club. And not have regret from opportunities. I think a lot of people struggle with their organizations and they crave different leadership styles, or they crave a more aggressive culture, or they crave certain things, right? And some people, they just crave more pay and benefits and whatever, more power to them. We can't control all those people. And I'm sitting here saying that as someone that doesn't always practice that and isn't always able to accept that. But maybe this is my way of being able to learn how to accept that. So that's kind of the down, and I'm coming back up, right? I was thinking about not taking a promotional exam, and you want to talk about wax the head, Trevor. My lieutenant finally, and he's a guy that does not usually do this, kind of had a blunt, and whatever, I'll be colorful. It's my damn show. But he was like, why don't you just, like, shut the fuck up and promote? And I was like, I don't really want to. And he goes, then shut the fuck up. I was like, okay. And, I had like a day where I just totally dumped it. And I just talked about all these things that were wrong with the department and that I didn't want to promote because, like, I don't want to be associated with that level of management or with those people that don't do these things. And why should I join a group of individuals that don't lead the way that I like? And I went down this was in my head. This was the way that I rationalized it. And again, whack the head. Okay. No, let's pick it back up. Like, my lieutenant is like, hey, if I'm going to go up, I need people that understand it to come and fill my spot. And I can't do this alone, is what he said. And we got to do this together, right? So, the pain of whatever your organization's doing to you now, if you're in that situation, you might not be, and that's great. But if you're in that situation now, I'm there with you, and I think the only thing that you can do is, like I said, just do something. Work fixes everything. Find an opportunity and take it. Make your own opportunity, and it might not even be in your organization. You might have to put yourself kind of, on the back burner. Don't don't totally disengage, because I think that's the difference. Like, don't disengage from your organization, but you don't have to engage in everything, right? You don't have to make everything a fight. You don't have to pull out the sword and start cutting people up with literally everything. And you got to learn to let some stuff go, which is really hard when your standards are really high. It's not compromise. It's just learning which fights to fight and which fights to let kind of maybe work themselves out and be there to help build for the next thing. So, again, I'm not perfect at that, and I don't practice that as much as I want to, and I'm getting to that point where I think I'm gonna be able to figure that out and do it more consistently, but it's not easy. So I don't know, whoever's in here, if anyone's dealing with some of that stuff, shout out, because this is open, dude. I'm like dumping pretty much everything. I mean, I'm not really pulling any punches from you guys with how I'm feeling. So Mike, you very much have to surround yourself with people, right? Good people. Stay in the game. It's a source of strength. And I'm coming at this from my journey with my son, and I would love to hear about that. And with your son, and I would love to maybe not in here if you don't want to share, but whatever you're going through, I think like that's what I was saying. Everyone's suffering through something, right? And we might not know about it. One of my lieutenants, his son has had dealt with some brain issues, and then actually another one of my lieutenants' daughters went with that, and like there's still ongoing problems with those things that didn't go away because they don't go away. You live with that stuff, but you just find a new normal and you find a way to thrive. You have to, like, you can't, at some point you have to get out of survival and you have to get into thriving, right? To just constantly survive in your organization is unhealthy. And I know that because I've lived that. Like, I think I'm going to be okay and get out of it now, but like I've lived that for a while where you just feel like you're in this survival mode all the time. And you got to find a place outside or connect with the right people or learn to just let some things go, which I'm telling you, you can go on any firefighter social media outside of my world and well, even mine. Everyone wants to fight. I mean, we've got skulls and tattoos and mustaches and, you know, we're all relentless and we're rejects and we're outliers and we're mafia and we're misfits and all these things. These guys are awesome and they exist everywhere, right? And we all love a good fight because we expect a certain thing, right? And we want to fight. But maybe we have to find a better way to fight. And I think that's kind of where we're at culturally in the fire service. Is there's a huge opportunity for firefighters to kind of shape our culture in a good way of what we need to be and what we were supposed to be. But we don't win that fight by telling everyone that they're dumb if they're not in that camp. So it's not easy. Like I said, I came to the realization that I fix problems in life the same way I fix them on the fire ground, and that doesn't work. On the fire ground, you can look at someone and go, just do it, right? Because like there's no time to talk about some stuff. Like, you know, you assess what's going on, you make a decision, and you got to act fast. That is not the way to handle your everyday life stuff. That's not the way to handle your station relationships. That's not a way to handle those things at all. I don't care how good of a fireman you are. I don't care how passionate you are about the fire service. You don't win that way. It puts you on an island, and you're going to be hoping that people respect you enough as a human if some things go wrong, which does sound familiar because it's my life in a certain way. It's not that bad. I'm not trying to woe is me, but Mike, I don't think we have a chaplain. In fact, I'm like 99% sure we don't have a chaplain. I think we had one with my old chief, but no, I don't think right now we do. Or he just nobody calls him. He's not active. But yeah, so like I was saying, kind of wrap up that little anecdote about organizational resentment. If you're living that right now, you got to find a way to not do that, because the longer you resent your organization, the more just grumpy. Yeah, sorry, Chris. I know Antioch had one. Lake Zurich, I don't think we have one. Antioch was awesome. We did have the three, and they were really cool. But yeah, what I was saying, the resentment turns to anger, and that anger just makes you some crusty old dude in a recliner, and that's where that journey ends, right? Like, you don't want to do that. Don't be at that point. Like, you got to find a way to not. If you're hungry and you're not getting fed, go find somewhere else to eat. Take a class, get involved in a Fools chapter, train, research, write, anything. Do something if you're hungry and you're not getting fed, because resentment doesn't get you anywhere. John is saying, I think anyone that has spent a significant amount of time in and around the fire service will experience some of your frustrations. Self-reflection is so important to help us recognize the opportunities that lie within tough times. You're in a special place in your journey, bro. And I feel like that. So, like, I literally had just gotten back from LDDM, which is this class that's done through IFSI, which is awesome if you ever get the chance to take it. And it was like fireman therapy, basically, at least the firefighter level. And, I got to put a lot of these things that I've been trying to learn about communication into play, and I got to see what worked. And then they broke me one of the days, and not the regular, but the core me that wants to just be like, blunt with my communication came out, and it was actually kind of funny. But yeah, I hope that I'm at that point. I think one of my biggest struggles always was like ignoring haters. I take my reputation very seriously, and to feel like my reputation's being dragged is something that irks the shit out of me. And I think I'm learning to not care about that as much. Like, this is how bad it is, where, like, I had to use some sick time for one of my son's appointments, and some people were complaining about me abusing sick time because I called in sick on some other things like years before. Like, are you kidding me? And I was so angry about that, and aggravated, and I just wanted to know who it was so I go tell them to pound sand. But now it's like, what does it matter? I don't know. Maybe I am growing up, and maybe I am learning that, and I don't know. This is a weird episode for me, because I literally feel like this is a visual journal. It's like a vlog. So kind of actually with that, one of the things I want to talk about was like emotional currency. So that's one thing that I've learned about what's happening right now is, like, all of us have a bank account for leadership. All of us have a bank account for relationships. And then all of us kind of have a bank account for emotions, right? And dealing with stress. And you can either be writing checks for money that you don't have in that account, or you can cut back on your finances and only write checks to the things that are important. And I think, like, what's going on in my personal life is forcing me to see that. And I think that as a firefighter, a passionate firefighter who wants to be an agent of change, you have to learn that you can't just be writing checks all the time and getting stressed about literally everything that's not going well in your organization. You need to wind the clock. You need to take a sec and not put so much emotional currency in that, because, like, it hasn't happened to me, but I know it's happened to other people, where that can damage your home life, that can damage your relationships with other people. And like, I've had a couple outbursts at work where I've maybe, like, attempted to tune up somebody for something they did, but I've been fortunate enough where I haven't brought any of that home with me. So I think I've managed my emotional currency in that way. But, like, again, Duncan getting sick, like, that pretty much put all of my emotional currency into him, and I didn't have any to deal with relationships or other stressors that were going on. It was like, this is not what's important right now. And I don't have the emotional currency. I don't have the bank account, right, to be managing that other stuff. So maybe that was a good thing. And it taught me something, how to adjust your life. I think it's edit your life is like the new key hot way to say that. But yeah. Like I said before, you can't be 100% all the time. I don't care how many David Goggins videos you watch about him running 500 miles or something like that. Like, hey, that guy's a freak of nature. But I'm sure his entire life he hasn't been that the entire friggin' time. Maybe he has. That's good. But most human beings aren't like that. So, like I said before, you got to find out. You know what's right. You're not going to be there all the time. You want to be there more often than not, and you want that percentage to be high that you're there. But it takes work to get there. And when you're not there, you need to recognize it. You need to make whatever adjustments you need, or you need to friggin' talk to somebody and get your head back in the game and restructure. So, I think, like I said, what's happened has pushed me into a newer direction. Not totally there yet, but I think we're gonna get there, right? And I do have some faith that I'm gonna be able to contribute in the ways that I want to the fire service and my own organization. I just have to learn to be patient and that kind of stuff. So, again, if you are struggling with that and you are struggling with all those things, either reach out to me, go to therapy, find a friend, and if you just want to rap about it, like I said, I'm here. Like, I'm totally open. I might be on social media and I might have a page and all this other stuff, but I'm a human, and I've always tried to say, like, authentically, like, I'm just one of the crowd. I just happen to be able to get to do this, and people get to watch and listen, which again is still weird, but yeah. Mike Wolches says the human element is crucial to understand, right? You can't be 100% all the time as a firefighter, officer, husband, father, etc. You just got to know what good is. You got to know what, like I said with the nozzle forward techniques, you got to know what the good form is and good body mechanics are. You got to get through the shit where you can't be in your good body mechanics and then get right back to default. That's the opportunity that you get to jump right back into it. That's really it. I know I make a lot of weird parallels with Buzz Lightyear and apparently advancing hose lines with your mental psyche, but hey, I don't know. That's what I do. So, I appreciate you guys coming back. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And I appreciate all the support. This is going to get going again. I'm going to get some people back on. We're going to talk. I'm not going to talk as much. I really, really want to talk about what's been going on here with 2 in 2 out and what IFF's doing and the thing that Sean Duffy and company put out, about 2 in 2 out. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole tonight because I wasn't going to make this like a big 2-hour thing. I just kind of wanted to maybe chat for around an hour. But I do want to take some time for those of you that are still watching, and I appreciate it, to maybe if you guys have any comments or anything you want to ask about, let's throw it in there, and we'll kind of hang out for as long as that works, and then I'll see you. We'll get things rolling. With that too, if there's people that you want me to talk to or you want to hear on the show, message me, and we'll connect and we'll find them. So I mentioned Sean Duffy. I'm working on getting him on, and we were kind of reconnecting. He was actually going to come on the show. I think I had to cancel on him like right away in the beginning when we found out about Duncan. Actually, it was because Duncan was in the hospital the whole week of FDIC, and the week before was when he was sick and not in the hospital. So like Sean and I were gonna actually, he was gonna come on the show. So there's stuff coming. And Trevor, thank you. Yeah, it's good to be back on here. Again, this format's very different from what we usually do here, or what I usually do here. But yeah, it's nice to get back. So if you guys don't have anything, that's fine too. But that's pretty much it. Like I said, Buzz Lightyear might have been a toy, but he was a cool toy. So just remember that. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one.